have terrible consequences, but a pandemic is not a cost-free sort of event. So yeah, of course, if you have large-scale infection ripping through society, you either completely ignore it or you try and do something about it. And unfortunately, there is no way of trying to deal with it. It doesn't have some sort of cost involved to it. So I don't think anyone's refuting that.
There was lots of speculation about what Professor Chris Whitty and I can't think of his name now. Vallance. Patrick Vallance. Forgive me, Patrick Vallance. Were going to say at the press conference yesterday evening, because they'd been quiet for a few weeks, and there was speculation about whether there was any disharmony between the government and the advisors on this. And the message seemed very clearly, look, we think this is OK. This is not going to be a sharp drop-off. The removal of free lateral flow tests is gradual. It won't happen until April. But the warning was there could be further variants, and they could either evade the vaccine or they could be more potent than we've seen with Omicron. Were you in agreement with what they were saying?
Sure. I mean, that is a possibility. We don't know. We may not see such variants. We may. It's unclear to what degree the virus is able to modify itself without actually becoming a less fit virus. But this often quoted idea that all viruses evolve to become less virulent over time, that's simply not the case. And there's no reason that is going to be the trajectory for this particular virus. So we will just have to wait and see. And that's why having some continuing sort of surveillance to detect changes in the virus or changes in its patterns is still really important.
Well, when you talk about some continuing surveillance, I mean, do you think we should be still all testing as often as we have been, or can we limit that to people who are severely ill?
Well, we can choose. That's a choice we want to make as a society as to what level of testing we do. We don't need to test everybody to still get good data on the sort of patterns behind the behaviour of the virus. So there's two different things, whether you're testing individuals in order to know whether someone is safe to go and visit someone who's vulnerable, or whether you're testing a sample of the population to try and determine the overall patterns. Those are two different things. And so just taking away one doesn't mean you still can't do the other. Certainly we don't need testing on the scale. Sorry, go ahead.
Let's be clear, because I'm not entirely clear from what you're saying if you think this move at this stage is a good thing or not.
It's not. Well, it's a good thing if you're fed up with restrictions. If you're worried about the virus, it's a bad thing. But that's the situation we've been in throughout this pandemic. If you focus on the virus, that's great for suppressing the virus. But of course, there is collateral damage done with any of these restrictions. If your focus is on the economy or well-being or civil liberties, then this will be a great move. But anything the way you're focusing on suppressing the virus is deemed as a bad thing. And that's the sort of seesaw we've been trying to balance throughout this pandemic, and I don't think it's necessarily possible to do so.